Welcome to our midweek conversation at First Baptist Sweetwater, where we strive to be the first responders of God's love. My name is Jerry Hendricks. I'm here with T. Hamilton, and it's always good to have the opportunity to sit with this guy midweek and just talk about stuff. So, T, how was your fourth?
It was great.
Well, actually, you've had a lot involved. So we're podcasting a little bit later this week,
right?
Because of some pre-scheduled events.
I went fishing.
And he wasn't fishing for men.
No.
Let me just say.
We took my father-in-law for a fishing trip for his birthday / Father's Day, because every year on Father's Day we're at camp. So we never get to see him on Father's Day, and his birthday is right around the same time. So that's what we did. Took him fishing.
You and Stacy?
Yep. Caught a lot of fish. They cut up a bunch of fish, and I don't have to eat the fish, so life's good.
So what happens there? I mean, where does the fish go?
Into his freezer, not mine.
I wanted to hear that it went into someone's freezer.
Yeah, not mine.
That's a lot of effort for, just for the sport of it.
Yeah, I'm catch and release only unless someone else is cleaning them and keeping them.
Oh, okay.
Because fish tastes like it smells.
Fair enough. Fishy.
Yeah. If Steve Hill or Mike Wilkes or Lynn Squires listen to this, we'll find out in the comments before long.
There you go. Yeah. Well, we have been giving our listeners lots of opportunities to weigh in on our midweek conversation.
We have.
Yeah. So there's 3 more.
But it was a fun day of fishing after a busy week at P3.
Right.
It was because we talked midway through with P3, but we didn't ever talk afterwards. But it went good. Good.
Yeah. We're kind of trying to catch up here, seeing about all the stuff that's gone on since we visited last. So we finished P3, which is my first time in 8 years not to be a part of that process, but it was a really good week. And I know one of the things that I report is the number of adults or leaders that we have involved in that process. And I don't want, obviously we want to see children there. When you have record-setting heat, it's sometimes hard to expect kids to come out of their homes and play at the very hottest part of the day. But our own children from First Baptist participate, as well as a large number of leaders, which is, and I feel like I have to remind people all the time, it's like a mission trip without the travel distance.
Right. Yeah, the best illustration I got was Robert Moore said, the rule, 20% of the people do 80% of the work. On P3 Sunday, when people got up, it was coming forward, it was 80% of the people there.
Right.
And so that's a really cool part to see. You talk about it all the time, that's the ministry that really defines who we are, and you can see it by the number of people that participate.
Well, I think for us too, when you look at some of the leaders that are involved in P3, you can see a progression of service. And whether sometimes P3 serves as that second tier of just getting deeper involved in the service, but for a lot of folks, it's that first tier, and it's their first time to serve with us, and then they start to find other ways through the life of our church, and that's an important part of the process, and is also when you do mission trips, an important part of a mission trip process. And the other thing about viewing it through the eyes of mission is that you can't really have expectations other than what you expect to do. I know one of the mission trips that I took a youth group on. It was our first trip. We went to Minnesota. I had never seen the lodging. I booked it online, and we didn't have the internet to do a lot of research. And I show up, and I'm blown away because it's like a lodge. And I go, oh, great, so we're just going to live it up for a week. But then we go into the neighborhood, and we canvass the neighborhood. We see the school where we're going to be helping this church start. And like the first day, no one showed up. And so we regrouped, sent everybody out again. Same day, since no one was there, and we didn't have anything to do. So, and then years later, after I'd changed churches, we took the Abilene Church to Minnesota, and one of the concerts we sang was in that church that we helped plant.
Oh, cool.
Some 10 or 15 years earlier.
That's cool.
And so you never know, what the fruit looks like, but definitely it's a way for our children to have a vacation Bible school, and it's a way for us to develop leaders, missional leaders through the life of our church. And so, and nothing says missional like 106 or 107 degrees.
I said this a couple times. The heat didn't seem that bad as long as you stayed away from the air conditioning.
But you and I have already been to camp,
right?
And so once I leading up to camp, during the summer times, I'll have days where I go, man, it's really hot.
Mm-hmm.
But once I go to camp, as long as I can wear shorts,
right?
And I'm wearing jeans about once a week now.
Mm-hmm.
So for this podcast and for preaching on Sunday morning. So
me too.
Yeah. So, but it's I refer to it as camp hot, and so it does. You can't tell varying degrees. I don't care for the times when it's like 95 and we have 40% humidity,
right?
Because that seems hot,
right?
Hotter to me than 108 with a breeze,
right? And if you're staying engaged and you're having fun, you're moving around. Really, all you have to watch is make sure kids drink enough water during the day, during the P3, because they're having fun. You get into it, you get excited, and until the end of it, when you're like, oh, we're done. Oh, it was hot.
Yeah.
You don't really notice it. And as long as you put in the rule, no whining.
Yeah, well,
that helps great.
I think it does, because I came over at midweek last week, so y'all you had completed 2 days, had 2 more to go, and there's a difference on that third morning when you get up. The heat does start to take it out of you, I think, as adults anyways. I don't know about kids, but it's a good way to find service, and that's I like the way, another one of those instances where the messages on Sunday kind of unknowingly at the time sync up with where we are in the life of our church and the things that we're doing.
Right.
And so I know you stayed with the lectionary text on P3 Sunday,
right,
which was in that bulk of verses that where Jesus is preparing his messengers.
Mm-hmm. And it fit perfectly with what we were doing to go out into the community.
Yeah.
So that was good. The part of P3, even though the event is finished,
right,
the ministry still continues with the follow-up. All those kids that we did meet and being able to invite them to cardboard boat race, things like that. That's the big part of P3. That's probably, I wouldn't say it's the most important, but it is a huge part to connect them back to the ministry we do here, because you want to be able to see them grow and to help them grow.
Right. And, we've talked through the years about those that have become a part of us, and that it all started with P3.
Right.
And so that continues to happen and be a story thread, year to year.
And you saw in the comments last week that Lisa saw that we're doing 8 next year. So that's exciting.
I had not seen that comment.
Oh, she did. She got excited about it. So,
well, I don't know where she might have heard that, but somehow I felt it coming.
It was in the podcast.
Was it?
Yeah, we talked about it and we said, so we'll see if Lisa listens or not by the responses. And sure enough, the response was there.
I remember you saying 8.
Yep. Double 4, 8.
Yeah.
Exponential.
Okay, thanks for listening, Lisa. And I think he really just meant like 6. But anyways, we'll see.
We'll see.
Well, so we do finish up a section of Scripture and kind of go on to the next portion. And so we'll continue to make our way through Matthew. And we don't, surprisingly, we don't spend a lot of time in the Gospel of Matthew for whatever reason. I know we've done Mark a lot, and then it seems like we lean into the Luke story around most of the Christmas seasons. But it's been good to kind of dwell there for a little bit. At least in these passages, because you look past the Sermon on the Mount, ends in chapter 7. We don't really get into some of the verses that we've been talking about. Because you keep reminding me that you got to talk about Beelzebub.
Well, he was in my passage apparently. It's just like, oh man, how did I get that on P3 Sunday? But luckily, there's more to it than just Beelzebub.
Yeah. So Sunday we looked backward in a historical sense by recognizing 4 deacons that have served for a long time, and for decades.
Yes.
Each of them for decades, and I guess there were 4 of them, and real meaningful time.
Yeah, it was really cool. My parents got to watch from home, and my mom really appreciated how we handled it and what was done. Thought it was really good.
Well, and seeing the pictures on social media of that ending prayer time where their families gathered, I think that was one of the things. I know y'all are more, because I'm not in the office on a regular basis now. I had not anticipated the family showing up.
Right.
For this special time, and so that was really good to see friends and family be together to recognize their deacon family member. Yeah. So it was really good.
It was a really special time, capped off by some really special food.
It was, yeah.
That was. Shout out to Mike Wilkes and Steve Hill. They made some good brisket.
Yeah, and we had guests here Sunday that part of P3 and others. So it's for summertime. This place is moving right along.
Yeah, it was bouncing Sunday, but it was good.
It was bouncing. That's a good word. Hey, so I know you're thinking about, and I hope our audience is thinking about July the 12th.
Yes.
That is Boat Race Wednesday.
Last year, if it had fallen on July 12th, you would have had so many jokes about us having cardboard boat race on the 12th. Because that's your go-to joke of it's never going to happen the 12th of never. So I'm glad it waited a year to fall on the 12th. Yeah. But yeah, plans are already in process. Duct tape has been purchased, and then the build begins this week.
Well, so is it safe to say that for the Hamiltons, the Hamilton family, that this is a year-round project? I mean, a lot like parades.
I could say family, but really it's just me. Stacy just kind of goes with the float. See what I did there? She always just kind of looks at me like, all right, whatever. She did save the first box this year.
Yeah?
We've had boxes in our house for about a month now that are taking up large amounts of space.
So is it true that you're going around town gathering up all the large boxes so that other people can't compete?
No, it's so I can create something more floatable.
Could that be a strategy going forward?
It could be. It definitely could be. But it's way more fun to beat them, and so I want more boats in the race. We've had at least 2 or 3 new people that said they're going to be doing a boat this year, so that's fun.
Or whose children said that their parents are going to be doing it.
Right. Yeah. Caleb May, I talked to him the other day, and he said, no, I'm not doing it because my boat sunk too late. And I said, what? He said, well, somebody else sunk first, so I didn't even get the Titanic award. I was like, so now we need 2 Titanic awards for first and second sinkers. But no, it's funny because just the planning that goes into it. And Callie the other day said, so let me guess. And she said, what's your boat going to be? I said, well, I'm not telling. Same thing as last year. Not going to tell. Well, let me guess, it's probably Subway. And I said, it's not going to be a restaurant theme every time. So no, it's not Subway. But last year, I don't know if I said this last week, last year we build What a Boat, and we get it built in the living room. And it gets time to take it outside, and we realize it won't fit through the door. So we're having to figure out how to get it out. And then we figured out, well, how are we going to get it up to the swimming pool? So it was on top of the Jeep, and we're roped down and holding onto it, driving like 10 miles an hour down the road. And I'm pretty sure people who saw us just went, oh, that makes sense. It makes perfect sense for a Jeep to be hauling What a Boat on top of it with Teak at the wheel.
Well, it's another one of those things that you had the idea last year, because we've talked a lot about being a church that has or creates opportunities for us to invite people, friends of the community, people who don't have a church home. Something that's real easy for us to participate in inviting others. And a lot, as we've said through the years, it's easier with children and youth because there's more activities that they're going to be doing.
Right.
But with adults, sometimes it can become challenging. So this is one of those opportunities that is something that's very unique. It's not done in the area, to our knowledge. And it does create quite a bit of buzz inside and outside of our church.
Yeah, and there's 3 easy invites. You can invite for the food, for the swimming, or for the racing. Yeah. There's 3 easy invites there.
Yeah. Because most of us are there for all 3.
I told you I invited our friend Matthew Broyles, right?
And yeah, you did.
He goes, you're going to have it in your parking lot? Well, how do you have a boat race in a parking lot? No, we're having city pool. Now he's interested.
I do need to talk to him. Well, looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a couple other things that we've been talking about, working on for adult invites to our faith community here. So anyways, excited to be in a good place during the summer where things are going well. The heat has backed off just a bit, and so that always helps a little bit in terms of our attitudes. But anyways, looking forward to this Sunday and the remaining Sundays of this month as we get into a new section of study in the Gospel of Matthew. And we look forward to seeing you folks on Sunday.
See you then.